Good morning, students. Today we are going to explore a fascinating period in English literature just after Elizabethan period, and that is the Jacobean Age. In the earlier discussions, we have seen that religious sentiments had a great influence on British history. For example, Elizabethan period, we have Catholics and Protestants. Here also we are heading towards more religious conflicts and rise of a new sects, that is Puritans. When Queen Elizabeth I died in 1603, her cousin James VI of Scotland became James I of England. Jacobean means James. In Latin we call it Jacobian, and in English we call it James. So from here Jacobean period started. Okay, for the first time England and Scotland were united under one ruler, and it became Great Britain, where all the islands are meeting together: England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales. Alright, so with great power comes great responsibility, and in this video we are going to explore whether James I was able to unite all these islands together or it was a failure. We are also going to discuss the literature that came during 1603 to 1625. But before beginning this video, if you are one of those students who are preparing for UGC NET, CUET, GATE or any competitive exam in English literature, then please do not worry, we are here to help you crack all these competitive exams in literature without any single doubt. Join Limitless Literature courses by visiting our official website limitlessliterature.com, or you can also WhatsApp us on our official number that is displayed on the screen. Get enrolled today and I will be pleased to guide you on one-on-one sessions. And now, without any further ado, let's begin with our discussion. You see, Elizabeth was Protestant and she established England as the land of Protestants, but she was able to maintain the peace between both Protestants as well as Catholics. So now James I of England also wanted to maintain his peace. Okay, so he was also a Protestant like Elizabeth, and he self-fashioned himself in such a way that he took care of both Protestant and Catholics. Okay, so he was self-fashioning himself that yes, he is doing something for the society of England, and even he went on to arrange marriage between a Spanish Catholic and his son Charles. So he was a Protestant and he arranged his son's marriage, Charles, with a Catholic. Okay, just to show that he took care of both the sects, Catholic as well as Protestants. So now what happened was that both groups were unhappy because the Spanish king said that if you want your son to get married in Catholics, then we want England to become the land of Catholics rather than Protestants. So from here Catholics were unhappy, and now on November 5th 1605, Guy Fawkes, who was a Catholic, attempted to kill James, and this plan is popularly known as the gunpowder plot. So gunpowder plot means like Guy Fawkes and his group put tons of gunpowder in the basement of Parliament, so that when James I come to Parliament, they can blast the Parliament by putting gunpowder on fire. But before the plot could be executed, Guy Fawkes and his members was caught by James I, and James I executed Guy Fawkes and his group. Okay, so this is how Catholic people were leading towards their plan. On the other hand, we have Protestant, and there is a new group of people in Protestants that are known as Puritans. So Puritans are nothing but extreme religious groups of Protestants. So they wanted to purify the Church of England. Okay, they do not want Catholic tradition to be there in England. So they were very unhappy because James I, being a Protestant, he is not doing anything, so they were against James I. So from here we can see the rise of Puritans begin to take place. So we will also show in the next videos how Puritan leader Oliver Cromwell killed James' son Charles I of England in 1649. Alright, so you can see how Puritans have started entering the scene of British history from here. There was another group who used to oppose the Puritans, and that was Cavaliers. Cavaliers were the people who are rich, who used to help, who used to support James I, and whoever spoke against James I, this group of Cavalier spoke against them. So Cavaliers supported James, Protestants, Puritans were against James. Alright, so again in the future we will see the fight between Puritans and Cavaliers led to the Civil War of 1642, and finally the killing of Charles I in 1649, who was the son of James I. Okay. Alright, so we will briefly discuss the literature that came out during 1603 to 1625. In the Elizabethan period, the theme were love, friendship, romance. But later in James I, this period started getting bad due to the religious tensions. Of course, religious tensions are there, and so this was the time of darker themes, deeper questions, remarkable literary achievements. Here also Shakespeare was writing, but here now Shakespeare wrote some darkest of his tragedies. During this period, for example, King Lear 1605, Macbeth 1606, Othello 1603. We have a famous playwright and translator, George Chapman, who completed the first ever translation of Homer's Iliad and Odyssey into English verse in 1617. So George Chapman also wrote the play Eastward Ho with Ben Jonson in 1605. Okay, this play offended James I, and it resulted in the imprisonment of George Chapman. So George Chapman had to leave London. Before he left in London, he wrote another play, The Conspiracy and Tragedy of Charles, Duke of Byron, 1608. But this play was banned because he had already disappointed the King's Court by writing Eastward Ho, and later afterward he had to leave London as it was not safe for him to stay in London. And his co-author Ben Jonson, who was a great satirist, his play The Alchemist, where he satirized almost all aspects of Jacobean society. The same way we have John Webster, who wrote The White Devil, The Duchess of Malfi. So here we can also see the Gothic elements in the works of John Webster. Okay, it has characteristics of exploration of corruption, complex female characters, violence and revenge themes. Other minor dramatists like John Marston and Thomas Middleton. Yes, Thomas Middleton also wrote social satires dealing with the themes of corruption and uncertainty of Jacobean period. So the literature of the Jacobean era reflected the uncertainty of the times from 1603 to 1625. So here we will see the same in the upcoming session, that is on Jacobean poems. So now here it is important to understand that although these writers and poets are writing on such darker aspects like religious tension, corruption, uncertainty of Jacobean period, they were producing the works of great literary talent. Okay, do not forget metaphysical poets. Yes, Jacobean era is also known as the peak of English Renaissance. Their dramas, their prose, their poems are very innovative and have intellectual depthness in those works. For example, just I mentioned the metaphysical poets. These poets was not officially a group of writers, but yes, they share a lot of features with each other. It was later Samuel Johnson, a literary critic, who coined the term metaphysical poets. And at the heart of this movement was John Donne, who used dramatic conversational style and the famous use of conceits. Other prominent figures included George Herbert, Andrew Marvell, Richard Crashaw, and Henry Vaughan. Their poetry often explored the deep spiritual and moral questions using everyday experiences from science, from astronomy. The religious themes were common among all these writers, among all these poets. So they questioned darkness and again uncertainty in the Jacobean period. So we have already discussed a lot about the group metaphysical poets in detail in our literary movement playlist. You can go through that literary movement playlist and explore more on this topic. Alright, so with metaphysical poets, we have another group, Cavalier poets. We have already discussed about Cavalier poets in the literary movement playlist. Okay, after completing this playlist, move on to the literary movement playlist, because you are surely going to find 3 to 4 questions from all these playlists that we are creating here on YouTube. Okay, so Cavalier poets also used the same themes, religion, love, but they did not use the conceits. They were rather more straightforward. Okay, they are also known as tribe of Ben because they were influenced by the writing style of Ben Jonson. Okay, so the writers included Robert Herrick, Richard Lovelace, Thomas Carew, and Sir John Suckling. Also, it is important that rather than writing for James I, These Cavalier poets used to write for King Charles I, the son of James I. Okay, so we will see that this group Cavalier poets got so much active during the period of English Civil War of 1642. So Jacobean poetry also had a great significance in the Jacobean period. One of the most influential literary and religious work at this period was King James Bible, which was published in 1611. Try to remember the chronology of all the Bibles, translations of the Bibles, because we have seen that every year they are asking one or two questions from Bibles, its history, which Bible came first, which Bible came second, and especially in UGC NET examination and SET examinations. We are repeatedly seeing questions from here. Even also in GATE examination, we have seen questions. Okay, so King James Bible is read across the world. About 47 scholars from Oxford, Cambridge, and other popular universities worked upon this Bible and translated it into English language to serve the Church of England, Anglican Church. So there was a competitor of King James Bible, that was Geneva Bible. But with time, King James Bible translation became the standard English Bible for everyone to read. Scholars of English language even say that if you want to learn English, King James Bible is the book that can help you build tremendous English language skills. Even writers that born after the publication of King James Bible had a great influence of this text on them, on their writing. Even John Milton relied on King James Bible for language skill. Ernest Hemingway, an American author, also said that it was King James Bible through which he learned a lot of language techniques, a lot of vocabulary. Yes, that helped him to understand the language better than anything else. Today also this Bible continues to be used in many churches, particularly in Anglican churches. Now we have other prose works and writers, especially Francis Bacon, yes, who had a strong influence on the evolution of modern science. The science we study, like empirical study of the natural world or objective experiments, are all given to us by this writer Francis Bacon. Okay, so you have to study the summaries of all the essays written by Francis Bacon, because that's a part of non-fictional prose. That is the unit of your UGC NET examination, and we have seen the questions repeatedly coming from this particular writer Francis Bacon. Another writer is Robert Burton's important work, The Anatomy of Melancholy. It is also a famous work written at that time. Then we have seen the increasing use of pamphlets and political writings in this Jacobean period. Later, John Middleton also wrote pamphlets to convey his message to the people of England that how Puritanism is more adaptable than Jacobean period, that how this civil war of 1642 is going to help the country of England. Okay, so we have seen in this era there was growing literacy rate, increased printing machines, using of English language then Latin language, and at last the sophistication of political discussion. So the Jacobean period is also considered as the transition between Renaissance to the modern world. Renaissance period was optimistic, very positive, and now we are heading towards more ages: Romanticism, Victorian period, Modernism, Postmodernism. So we can see a bit of complexity in all these ages. Okay, so this period was the beginning of complex society. Psychological complexity is there. So it started in 1603 and today is 21st century. After 400 years, we are seeing that we are living in a complex society. So that was the beginning period, and that's why this Jacobean period is still relevant for us to study in literature. Alright, so these all are the things that I wanted to share with you in this video. I hope you found the video helpful. You can also join the Limitless Literature courses for me to help you on everyday basis what to study, which important topics that you have to approach first and what you have to leave for the later period. Okay, so we are going to discuss everything in our course, and do let me know in the comment section below if you want me to continue this series on British literature, how good you are finding these videos for your competitive examination. Do let me know in the comment section below. Do not forget to like the video and share it with the students who may need it. I will see you soon in the next video. That's it for this. Thank you.